Hello everyone, how are you? I hope you are doing well. So welcome to this new video lecture on numbers variable in Python. In this video, I will cover how to assign and declare numbers variable in Python, and also we will perform some arithmetic operation with the use of numbers variable, and after that we will see comparison and conversion between the numbers variable. By the end of this video, you will have a solid understanding of working with numbers variable in Python, which you can use in your Python programming project. So without wasting any time, let's get started. I already have created a Jupyter notebook file where I have talked about everything you need to know about Python's numbers variable. So the definition of numbers variable. So numbers variables are fundamental concept in programming, and they are essential for every Python programmer to know and understand. In Python, there are mainly two types of number variables, that is integer and floats. One more variable is that is complex number, but that is not majorly used. So the types of number variables, so it will contain integer, floats, and complex numbers. So first is integer, so that is represented as int, and integer is a whole number that does not have a decimal point. For example, 1, 10, 20, 50, these are integers. In Python, you can declare an integer by simply assigning a whole number to a variable. For example, here my underscore int, that is name of my Python integer variable, it is being assigned value 10. So if I run this cell, the assignment and declaration both will be at the same time. And if I run this second cell, you will see the type of my int variable is integer. The value is 10 that I already assigned in the first cell. So this is integer variable, and the second is float that contains floating point number. So a float on the other hand is a number that has decimal point, and for example 1.5 that is having decimal point in it, so it will be a float number. Similarly 2.75, 3.14 and so on. In Python, you can declare a float number by including a decimal point in the number or by using scientific notation. For example, my float 1 is equal to 3.14. So it will contain 3.14, that is a float number. So my float 1 is a float variable. Similarly, this my float 2, it is having 0.002. So it will also be a float variable. So if I run these two cells, so the second cell will be showing us the value of my float2 variable and the type of this my float2 variable, that is float. The next is complex number. So these are used to store complex numbers such as 2 plus 3j, where j represents the imaginary unit. In Python, you can declare a complex number by including imaginary unit j. For example, my complex is equal to 4.5 plus 7j. So my complex, the name of variable, is having the value of 4.5 plus 7j. So the type of this variable will be complex, and it will show us the value of my complex variable. So that is 4.5 plus 7j. The type is complex. Now it is important to note that Python automatically assign the type of variable based on the value you assign to it. For example, if you assign a whole number, it will directly assign to a integer variable. And if you assign a complex or floating number, then it will respectively assign to a complex variable or a floating variable. Let's look an example where we declare both an integer and a float variable. So my int is equal to 10. So 10 is a whole number, so my int will be an integer variable. And the second is 3.14. So my float is being assigned to 3.14. That means my float will be a float variable because 3.14 is a float number. So if I print the type of these two variables, so you can see the type of this first my int variable is int, and the second variable, that is my float, is having the variables type float. Now we have an understanding of three types of number variables in Python. We can move on to the declaring and assigning variable. So it is as simple as already told you that it declares in single lines. So you can declare and assign number variables in single line of code. To declare a variable, simply choose a name for it that we are doing in the above cells, and use the equal sign to assign a value to it. Here is an example how to declare and assign a integer variable. So again, my int is the name of the integer variable. We are using equal sign to assign the 100 value to my variable my int. So in the example, we declared a variable called my int and assigned it to the value of 100. We can do the same thing with the float variables also. So here, if I write my float is equal to 7.56, so what it will do, it will declare and assign value 7.56 to a my float variable. It is important to note that in Python, variables are case sensitive. This means the first my int and the second my int are considered two different variables. So first my int is having small m and the second my int is having capital M. So these two are considered two different variables. So variable name can consist of letters, numbers and underscore, but they cannot begin with a number. As I already have created a video on variables in Python, so you can watch that video. Now we can also assign a new value to an existing variable simply by using the equal sign again. For example, I already have stored value 100 to my variable my underscore int, but again if I assign value 20 to my variable my underscore int, so what it will do, it will reassign the value, the new value to that variable. So my int is equal to 20 now. See, if I run this cell, so my integer variable will be having value 20. So if I print the value of my int here, so it will give us the output as 20. So if I print the value of my int here, so it will give us the output of 20. So in this example, we reassign the value of my int variable to 20. Now that we know how to declare and assign number variables in Python, let's move on to the performing arithmetic operation with them. So arithmetic operations, Python provide basic arithmetic operators that can be used to perform arithmetic operations with the number variables. Here are the basic arithmetic operations we can use in Python. First is addition, second is subtraction, then multiplication, division, modulo, exponentiation. Let's see how we can use these operators with the number variables. So first is addition. So value of x is 5 and y is 3. So if I add these two numbers, these two variables, that is x and y, and store it into a new variable called result, so this will give the output of 5 plus 3, that is 8. So if I run this cell, so what it will do, it will give us the output of result. So the result is having 8. Now the second one, that is subtraction. So if I do result is equal to x minus y, so what it will do, it will do the subtraction in x and y. So x minus y will give us the output 2. Now you can see the result will give us the output 2. Similarly with the multiplication, if I do x star y, that is x into y, so it will give me the output 5 into 3, that is 15. Now similarly for the division, we use the slash here. So result will be 5 divided by 3, that is 1.666. So you can see the result is giving us output as 1.6666. Now the next is modulo or remainder. So if I do x percentage y, it will give me the remainder of x divided by y. So the output is 2 here. Now the exponentiation. So if I use 2 star operator between two numbers variable, so these two numbers variable will do exponentiation here. So if I use x star star y, so what it will do, it will give me the output of x to the power y. So x is 5 here and y is 3 here. So the output will be 5 raised to the power 3. So output will be 125 here. Now in the above examples, we assign values to two variables x and y and use the arithmetic operators to perform various arithmetic operations. We assign the result of each operation to a new variable called result and then printed out the value of result using the print function. So that's good. Now it is important to note that when we perform division with integers, Python will give a float result. If you want to perform integer division, you can use the double slash operator. I will show you here. X is equal to 5, y is equal to 3, and the result is x double slash y. That means it will give us the output as integer. So it will perform a integer division if. Now if I print the value of result, it will give the output as 1. So you can see the output is 1. Now we know how to perform arithmetic operations with number variables in Python. Let's move on to the comparing variables. So comparison operators. Python provides comparison operators that you can use to compare number variables. So here are the comparison operators in Python. First is equal to, second is not equal to, then greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Let's see how we can use these operators with the number variables. So x is assigned to 5 and y is assigned to 3. The first print function is comparing x and y. So x equal y, that is false, so it will give output as false. X is not equal to y, so it's true, so it will give output as true. Similarly, all these operators, so the output is written here, but if I run this cell, so it will give the output of these lines of code here. So you can see the output is same as I already have written here: false, true, true, false, true, false. So in this example, we use the comparison operators to compare the values of x and y. Each comparison operator returns a boolean value, that is true or false, depending on whether the comparison is true or false. It is important to note here, when you compare float variables, you may encounter issues with precision. This is because floats are stored as approximation in Python. To compare float variables, you may need to use a tolerance or library that handles floating point arithmetic. Now what we know how to compare number variable in Python. Let's move on. Type conversion of Python variable. So type conversion, sometimes we need to convert a number variable from one type to another. So Python provides built-in function that allows us to convert number variables from one type to another. First, int converts x to an integer, and float convert x to a float, and str convert x to a string. We will see how to use this function. So first is converting float to an integer. So x is equal to 3.14 and y is equal to int of x. So it will give us the output of 3 because float of the integer of this float number 3.14 will be 3. So the type of this newly created number y will be integer now. So you can see the value is 3 and the type of this variable is integer now. Converting integer to float. Similarly, we can convert an integer number to float using this float function. So this will give us the output as 5.0 and the type of this variable is float now. Now converting integer to string. So x is equal to 10 and y is equal to str of x. So y will give us the output as 10, but this 10 will be an string and the type of this y will be str. See, you can see the value is 10 and the type of this variable is str. Similarly, converting float to an string. So x is equal to 3.14 and the y is equal to str of x. So print y will give us the output as 3.14, that is quoted, and the type of this y will be string. So you can see in these examples we use the int, float and str function to convert number variables from one type to another. Now it is important to note that when converting a float to an integer, Python will truncate the decimal part of the float. This means that int 3.14 will return 3. If you want to round a float to the nearest integer, you can use the round function here. So you can see this cell, x is equal to 3.6 and y is equal to round off x. So what it will do, it will give the nearest integer of that float number. So the nearest integer of this 3.6 is 4. So it will give us the output of 4. You can see here the output is 4. Now you know how to convert number variables in Python. Let's move on to some built-in function that you can use with the number variable. So some common built-in function, that is first is ABS, that returns the absolute value of x. Second is power function, that returns x to the power of y. Then round, returns x rounded to n decimal points. Next is max, that returns the largest number among some group of numbers. And the last is min, that returns the smallest number among the group of some numbers. So let's see how we can use this function with the number variables. First is finding the absolute value of a number. So x is equal to 5 and y is equal to absolute of x. So absolute of x means absolute of minus 5, that is 5. So output will be 5 here. So y will give us the output as 5. The next is finding the power of a number. So we can use power function here. So y is equal to power x comma 3. So this will give us the output of x to the power 3, that means 2 to the power 3. So 2 to the power 3 is equal to 8. So y will be giving us output as 8 here. The next is rounding a number to a given number of decimal places. So we will use round function here. So the x is 3.14159 and we are using round x comma 2. So we will round this x number to 2 decimal places. So if I print the value of y, so it will give us the output as 3.14. So this y is rounded off to 2 decimal places only. Now the finding the largest number among a list of numbers. So x is equal to 5, 10, 2, 8. So this is a list of numbers. We will see list in the later videos, but for now we will see how this max function work here. So what it will do, it will give us the value of, it will give us the max value among all these numbers. So among all these numbers, 10 is the max value. So it will give us the output as 10. And similarly, finding the smallest number, we can use the min function here. So min will give us the smallest number among this list of numbers. Y will be giving us the output as 2 here. You can see output is 2 here. So in the above examples, we use the built-in function to perform common operation on number variables. So Python provides many other built-in functions for working with number variables, such as sum, complex, division mode, and so on. So you can find more information about this function in the Python documentation. Now we have come to the end of this video. So conclusion, by now we have covered a range of topics related to the number variables in Python, including their types, how to declare and assign them, how to perform arithmetic operations, comparison operations. We also explored common built-in function that can be used with number variables. By understanding these topics, you should now have a good grasp of how to work with numbers variable in Python, and you should be able to write programs that perform a wide range of mathematical operations. Remember, practice makes perfect, so be sure to experiment with these examples in the lecture and continue learning more about Python programming. Bye bye, take care.